So all of y'all, I welcome, namaste everybody who have joined this session today, which is an initiative of CPEC and propelled and driven by the chairman, CA Dr. Rajkumar Satyanarayana Adukia ji, as well as the vice chairman, CA Gyan Chandra Mishra. The sessions today that are going to be covered are latest developments in TDS and TCS, as well as A to Z blockchain technology and cryptocurrency technology. The first speaker over here who is going to attend to us for 1 hour from 4 to 5 is CA Zalak Parekh. I would like to give a short description about what she is and how she's associated with ICI. CA Zalak Mehul Parekh. She's a member of the institute. She's a commerce graduate. She has done her DISA. She has done a CISA and FAFD. She's partner of Jintanwala and Company. Wow. She's currently, handling company law matters, CIT appeals, etc. She's also a rank holder. And in first 10, she's the third rank holder in Ahmedabad and the eighth in Gujarat board examination. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. In thousands of students, when you are able to get the first 10, it's really
Yes.
really awesome. She's also a PCC examination rank holder. Wow. And the third rank holder in DISA examinations. Fantastic. She has cleared forensic and audit fraud detection examination, FAFD, which I had already described. Committee member of Women Empowerment Committee of ICI, Ahmedabad branch. Her interests are reading, dancing, singing. She has participated in All India Radio as anchor. That's fantastic. So we have a good anchor also today. And also completed Bharatnatyam. Arangratal performed Bharatnatyam in National Defense Festival and obtained degree of Madhyama Purna in classical music. Like it really needs a lot of intellectual power to understand and follow classical music, and you have done it. So all to you, ma'am. Please take it ahead from here, ma'am.
So thank you so much, Dr. Salim Khan, sir. For I generously, firstly, I would like to thank the CP committee of ICI for inviting me, and CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia, sir, for contacting me for taking this session, and the whole CP committee for arranging this kind of CP events. So today's my topic is the latest developments in TDS and TCS. So today in this lecture, I would be taking two new sections that are being introduced in this financial budget 2022. That is 194R and 194S, and other amendments that are being introduced in this budget in other TDS sections. So as we know that every year this finance budget comes up with some 2-3 new TDS sections and amendments in other various TDS sections. So it is very important to stay in touch with these sections. Okay, what are the changes that are coming up? What are new things that are coming up? So in today's session, we'll cover first two new sections in detail and other sections where there are changes or amendments are introduced. So this last year there were 194Q and 194PQ were introduced, and this year RS are introduced. So it is not a very far that we will complete the whole ABCD like S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. The 7 sections will also be introduced in Finance Section 2020 Finance Act. Generally, the deductors like are performing the duty of a government, that is they are ensuring the tax payment, that tax payments are being made. They ensure that deductee who is a receiver of the income is actually making payment, actually showing this as their income in their return of income, and that is a onerous job that deductors are doing. But for that job there are hardly any rewards, but we know that slightest of lapse on the part of deductor and they are penalized or prosecutions are being held in their against them. So that is what our income tax system is about. But that is what TDS is about, that the government is shifting their job of ensuring tax payment on the part of deductors. And deductors now they have to deal with so many sections, so many things. So it is very important that we know what are the latest TDS developments and what are TCS developments, what are penalties, what are changes in them. So first, my screen. Is it visible? My presentation is not visible. Okay, now is it visible?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. It is.
So today we will discuss firstly 194R, that is TDS on benefit of perquisite arising from business or profession of a recipient. Secondly, 194S, TDS on transfer of virtual digital asset. Thirdly, amendment, that is and other three are the amendment in 194 IA, TDS on purchase of immovable property. Then there are two penalty sections, 206 AB and 206 CCA, that is higher rate of deduction of TDS for non-filers and higher collection of TCS for non-income tax return filers. Then there are two interest sections, 2011A, 206C7, interest on late deposit of TDS and interest on late deposit of TCS. So we'll briefly discuss 194R and 194S in this session and other amendments. So let us first start with section 194R. TDS on benefit of perquisites arising from business or profession of the recipient. Firstly, I'll read out the raw section, that is what Finance Bill 2022 is saying about. So what is this 194R section is all about? That any person responsible for providing to a resident any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or the exercise of a profession by such resident, shall, before providing such benefit or perquisite as the case may be to such resident, ensure that the tax has been deducted in respect of such benefit or perquisite at the rate of 10% of the value or aggregate of value of such benefit or perquisite, provided that in a case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind, but such part in cash is not sufficient to meet the liability of deduction of tax in respect of whole of such benefit or perquisite, the person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite shall, before releasing the benefit or perquisite, ensure that tax has been paid in respect of the benefit or perquisite. So even if the benefit or perquisite is in the form of kind or partly in cash or partly in kind, and the cash portion is not sufficient, then the deductor will have to bond the tax payment amount, TDS amount, out of his own pocket. Provided further that the provisions of this section shall not apply in case where resident, where the value or aggregate value of benefit or perquisite provided or likely to be provided to such resident during the financial year does not exceed rupees 20,000. Provided also that the provisions of this section shall not apply to a person being an individual or HUF whose sales or gross receipt or turnover does not exceed rupees 1 crore in case of business, or rupees 50 lakh in case of profession during the financial year immediately preceding the financial year in which such benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is provided by such person. So this is the raw section, that is what is mentioned in Finance Bill. We will discuss each thing point wise. We'll analyze the whole section and then we'll discuss it with example, and then we'll see what are the issues that may come up with this section. So firstly, this section is going to be applicable from 1st July 2022. That is what is mentioned in the memorandum to the finance bill. So what are the points of analysis of section 194R? So firstly, to whom this is applicable? So for the applicability, firstly, the payee, who's to whom the payment, to whom the benefit of perquisite is given, he must be a resident. Secondly, that perquisite or benefit must have arisen to him out of his own business or profession, having the nature of income falling under section 28(4) of the Income Tax Act. So 28(4) of Income Tax Act is about business income that is in the form of kind or in the form of cash or kind, but that is a benefit or perquisite arising to a person from his business or profession. So applicability under section 28(4) is the prime thing for the recipient of the benefit. And then only if for pay it is income under section 28(4), then also payer will have to deduct TDS on the same. So what is the threshold limit? The threshold limit is in aggregate during the financial year must have exceeded rupees 20,000. Then only TDS would come under the applicability. And the rate of TDS is 10%. Fourth thing is that it is applicable to the benefit that is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind. So here fully in cash perquisites or benefits are not covered. So it only covers partly in kind or partly in cash. So even we have seen in the raw section that if the part of the cash is not sufficient to cover the TDS amount, then the deductor will have to bond this TDS out of his own pocket. This is introduced in Finance Act 2022 and it is applicable from 1st July 2022. We have seen that payers responsible to deduct and pay TDS even if the cash portion is not sufficient to cover TDS. To certain payers, the TDS section 194R is not applicable, that are individual and HUF who are having a gross business turnover up to rupees 1 crore or gross receipt from the profession up to rupees 50 lakh. So in case of small individual HUF who are having business turnover less than 1 crore or professional receipt less than 50 lakh, or individual HUF who are not having business profession income at all, they are out of the ambit of this section. So they are not required to deduct TDS. Secondly, this also exclude employers, because employer and employee, when employer is giving benefit of perquisite to employee, this is covered under section 17(2). By the employee has to be showing this income under their salary under section 17(2), and for that there is another section 192 for deduction of tax under that section. Then it does not include gifts or perquisites given on special occasions like marriage or festivals. It only covers benefits arising out of business transactions. So Diwali gifts or anything given on as a shukran on weddings, those things are not covered here. Let us see a practical example how this section works. There is Mr. A of Ahmedabad who is for procuring a raw material at a concessional price for his manufacturing business, visits Mr. B in Bangalore. Mr. B, to build a long-term relation with Mr. A, instead of offering him goods at discounted price, offers him 5-star accommodation and an iPhone. Mr. A and B, they are not relatives, and there is no other special occasion for giving such kind of gift by Mr. B to Mr. A. So in this case, when these gifts are given to Mr. A, it is very clear that it is given to in connection of this business, in connection of the transaction of procuring raw material by Mr. A. So this is very well connected to business. It is relating to business. Of course, it is going to be more than rupees 20,000 in value. and both being resident, this Mr. B will be liable to deduct TDS on the value of such hotel accommodation and iPhone at the rate of 10% out of his own pocket, provided that Mr. B is having a turnover of more than rupees 1 crore in the previous financial year. In case his turnover is less than 1 crore in previous financial year, he is not liable for TDS. So we can see that now on, this is a very routine practice every business houses are doing, that they are gifting their customers with huge like business trips and hotel accommodations or any costly gifts they are giving. So now onwards they will have to deduct TDS at the rate of 10%. So even if they are giving this kind of gifts, 10% is a huge amount. So they are giving, if this perquisites like for of rupees 50,000 in value, they will have to pay another 5,000 rupees out of his own pocket. So in this next year, maybe this practices of business will get affected, or maybe they'll cut down on giving this kind of gifts, or otherwise they will have to bear a huge tax portion on their own burden. So let's see how far these practices will go on. Let us discuss the issues that may come up when this action will be applicable from 1st July 2022. Firstly, the valuation guidelines with respect to perquisite has not been defined anywhere in the finance bill. So how to value this kind, perquisites in kind, how to get this right value of it is still in question. Secondly, the threshold limit is obviously very low. Rupees 20,000 is a very low amount. Any smallest of the benefit which we have not even noticed, which we even don't get clicked that it is a benefit that we have given, those things also will be covered here. When perquisite received is in kind, when it is resold, then what is the cost of benefit? How to take this cost of benefit? It is not anywhere mentioned in this law. Like if a seller is giving its dealer some goods for free, then of course that dealer will be selling this goods again. So when he'll sell, that will be considered as his income. And also when he's receiving perquisite, that is also his income under section 28(4). So this will amount to double taxation on the part of receiver of a gift. But when he's selling, what is the cost that he must exclude from his selling price? Is it the perquisite received, or is it the cost of the seller? That is not mentioned anywhere. I mean, the cost of a seller is to be considered a cost which may have been the cost to the dealer, that should be deducted, or there is no provision for deducting cost at all. If that is zero cost to be taken, then it will amount to double taxation for the dealer. Again, fourthly, there is what is the point of taxation? For many times wholesalers are giving their franchisee partners or dealers or retailers these coupons or points in lieu of their when they buy the products, or in lieu of giving discounts, they are giving these coupons or points that they can redeem at any point of time. So what is the point of taxation, whether it is when coupons or points are given, or when these coupons or points are redeemed by them, and how to keep track of this redemption, that when they will redeem, so when to deduct TDS, how to deduct TDS, that is still in question. Because many times coupons or points are given and they will keep it, they will not use it, they may lapse. So in those cases, how to deduct TDS and when to deduct TDS is still question. Another thing is, under section 37(1), many of the perquisites are not allowable expenditure for the business houses. like certain things which are prohibited by the law. So we know that if expenditure is sorry, if the expenditure is already disallowable under some other section, then whether TDS would be applicable on this perquisite by a seller or not. I mean, if they are not deducting TDS, whether it would be again disallowed under section 40 IA, or TDS would not be applicable when it is already disallowable under section 37(1). So in those cases, a recipient will again not show it as their income because TDS is not deducted. So how to deal with the perquisite which are already disallowable under section 37(1) is still a question. So when another thing is when the goods are given as a sample by franchisor to a franchisee operator and are sold by them, these goods are almost given for free to promote the business of franchisor, to increase the sales of a franchisor. So whose benefit it is, and whether this is benefit of a franchisor or a franchisee, because it is also a benefit of franchisor that increases sales for them, and also for franchisee operator, goods received as a free of cost, that is a benefit for them. So who will deduct TDS of whom in those cases? Another thing is recently Supreme Court has given this judgment in case of Mahindra and Mahindra, which clearly says that benefit or purpose cannot be in cash. But this section clearly mentions that partly in cash and partly in kind benefits are also covered here. So this is a contradictory view. Another thing is memorandum says that provisions are applicable from 1st July 2022. It's a very small thing, but still it is not specified in the Finance Bill 2022. Generally, when memorandum is saying that Finance Bill is general amended to give effect of the same, but it is not mentioned in Finance Bill 2022. Another thing is that huge number of genuine commercial transactions will be impacted, like training to salesperson, distributors, support services, free workshops, referral bonuses, early payment discounts, sample distributions, free health insurances to dealers, COVID care incentives. All these things are benefits or purposes generally given by the distributors to their dealers for free of cost, and receiver on their hand, as it is general practice, they think that this is a gift given to them and they are not supposed to show it anywhere in their return of income, because 28(4) section is very rarely been used by the recipient to show their income. And now onwards, these all things will be covered under this TDS sections, and those things, whether the recipient, how they will be showing it as their income and how far these practices will run is a question. So here we have discussed this 194R section. Now we will discuss section 194S. 194S is a TDS on purchase of consideration of virtual digital asset. So now we know that today cryptographic currencies, cryptographic like blockchain, and all these things are getting very running in a very high pace, and taxes also being employed on this transaction under section 115 BBA under Income Tax Act in the last year. But there is still, they are not getting been traced by the income tax, how to tax those things, how to track those transactions. It is a very difficult task for income tax. So now this job is given to the payer of the consideration who is buying the virtual digital asset. So whenever they are giving some consideration, to the seller for buying a virtual digital asset, they are supposed to deduct TDS at the rate of 1% on those transactions. So what the section says, any person responsible for paying to a resident any sum by way of consideration for transfer of a virtual digital asset shall at the time of credit of such sum to the account of the resident or at the time of payment of such sum by any mode, whichever is earlier, deduct an amount equal to 1% of such sum as income tax thereon. So any even if the payment is not done for this VDA and amount is credited to the account of recipient, then also TDS is required to be deducted at the rate of 1%. So what is this virtual digital asset? What is the definition of this? So for the definition this year, section 247A, clause 47A has been proposed, and there it is, virtual digital asset is defined. So what is it? It is any information, number, code, or token not being Indian currency or any foreign currency, generated through cryptographic means or otherwise. So here it is, they are saying or otherwise. So any asset will be anyhow been generated through any of the means. Like they have not restricted this definition to cryptographic means. They have said or otherwise, that includes any asset anywhere in the world. So to specify it more, they've given other conditions. They've further it says that providing a digital representation of a value which is exchanged with or without consideration, with the promise or representation of having inherent value. So it must contain some value. It must digitally representing some value that can be exchanged with or without consideration, or it functions as a store of value or a unit of account and includes its use in any financial transaction or investment, but it is not limited to investment schemes, and can be transferred, stored, or exchanged, traded electronically. It also includes non-fungible token and any token of the similar nature. So we can see that this definition is very wide enough to include many other things other than what we think it as a cryptographic cryptocurrency. So when it is saying that or otherwise, other than cryptographic means, so that may also include coupons or points or credit card points or e-way bills even are getting covered in this definition. So whether the intention of legislature is that or not, whether those things will also be covered here. So how they will be getting out of the ambit of this section, how to not consider these things, they are still in question. Let us analyze this section in detail. So it says that when the consideration is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind, or even in the exchange of another virtual digital asset, then also those transactions are covered. So in those cases, when the cash portion is not sufficient to meet the liability of deduction of tax in respect of whole of such transfer, then the person responsible for paying consideration shall bond TDS out of his own pocket. So cases where cash payments are done, of course TDS deduction is possible and very easy for a deductor. But in cases when the consideration is in kind, or many times for one cryptocurrency is exchanging with another cryptocurrency, or sometimes it is partly in cash and partly in kind. So in those cases, when cash portion is not sufficient, how to deduct TDS? The deductor will have to warn this TDS and ensure that tax payment is made. Certain deductors are exempted, certain payers are exempted from deducting TDS. So there is a threshold limit of rupees 50,000 or 10,000. Rupees 50,000 for small individual HUF. For individual and HUF who are not having business or profession income at all, or whose business turnover in previous financial year is less than rupees 1 crore, or in case of professional, the gross receipt is less than rupees 50 lakh. Those assesses will have to deduct TDS only when the aggregate of this sales consideration during the financial year is more than rupees 50,000. For other assesses, the threshold limit is rupees 10,000. As and when threshold limit of 10,000 is increased, is exceeded, they will have to deduct TDS at the rate of 1%. The provisions of section 203A and 206AB are not applicable to specified persons. What is specified person? Specified person means the first condition, the small individual HUF who are not having turnover or professional receipt more than rupees 1 crore or 50 lakh. So for those assesses, mandatory taking of 10 or higher rate of TDS for non-filing return, those sections will not be applicable to those assesses. Another thing is, if tax has been deducted under this section, then the same consideration shall not be liable to deduct or collect TDS or TCS under any other provisions of this chapter. So once TDS is applicable under this section, anywhere in under any other section, this TDS will not be applicable. So this section overrides any other sections. Then what is the point of deducting TDS? TDS is deducted at the time of credit or payment, whichever is earlier. So what is credit? Credit, even if the amount is credited to any account in the books of account of the person liable to pay such sum, and even if this amount is credited in his books under suspense account or by any other name whatsoever called, then also payer will have to deduct TDS on the same. Another thing is this section overrides 194O. So notwithstanding anything contained in section 194O, in case transaction is covered under this section, then it will not be covered under any other section. And income, this section is already there, 115 BBH, that is taxing income in the hand of recipient of the consideration. It is taxable at the rate of 30%. So that is what the section 194S is all about. Let us discuss issues that may come up with the introduction of this section. Again, has that this section is also applicable from 1st July 2022. And what are the issues that we'll discuss about section 194S? The definition of virtual digital asset is very wide enough that it may also cover e-way bills, credit card points. We have already discussed this thing, that these items are also getting covered in the definition of virtual digital asset, and TDS might be applicable on those transactions as well. Responsibility to deduct the TDS is or that of a payer. So in crypto transactions, as we know, those transactions are generally covered, taken up by intermediaries or crypto exchanges, and generally they are making ultimate payment to the pay. So liability to deduct TDS would get shifted to this intermediary or exchanges if the payer is responsible to deduct TDS. Again, that identity of buyer is not known in many cases, that because these transactions are generally taken care of by these intermediaries and exchanges. So how to know who is the seller, who is the buyer, so whose TDS is required to be done, the ultimate recipient is a resident or not, or whether he is filing his return or not. How to know all these things, because these transactions are not peer-to-peer. So how to deduct TDS and whose TDS is to be deducted is a question. Then valuation of transaction, when these transactions are already being settled or settled at a later date, or settled with the exchange of some cryptocurrency. So what is the value to be considered for those transactions? Because there is no specific value, there are no exchanges that is specifying a value at a particular time. That what how to value those transactions is a question. There are guidelines which needs to be there. uh, Moreover, whenever something is introduced in some act under any of the uh, act, we assume that this thing has become legal. We know that there are still very many bans on many kinds of transactions in cryptocurrencies, like RBI is banning acceptance of cryptocurrency, or banning this cryptocurrency as a medium to invest in any of the schemes. So those things are still there, even though this crypto transactions are being taxed under Income Tax Act. Banning or their legality is still questionable, and it is still there. Even we know that there was also a bill which has yet not been tabled about banning of cryptocurrency. These things are still there, these bans are still there, and its legality is still questioned. But those transactions are taxable under the Income Tax Act, and now the TDS is also applicable on those transactions. But that does not make it a legal tender. Another thing is, though the definition of this virtual digital asset is wide enough to cover many of the virtual cryptocurrencies or many of the digital assets, it is specifically said that foreign currency is not included in virtual digital asset. So we know the motive behind introducing this section was to get Bitcoin and other kind of similar cryptocurrencies transactions under the tax radar. But definition itself excludes foreign currency out of its ambit. So last year in September 21, a country in Central America, that is El Salvador, has adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender. Even recently in May 2022, Central African Republic has also passed a bill in parliament to allow Bitcoin as their legal tender. So this makes Bitcoin as a foreign currency, and once it is a foreign currency, it is out of the ambit of this section 194S. So the very purpose gets defeated to deduct and tax those transactions of cryptocurrencies once it is included in a foreign currency definition. So that is all about the section 194S. I'm seeing that there are some questions. So should we take these questions right now? If anyone has a question, please post them. I'll get this from the support team. So first question is whether credit card point to cover VDA. Please provide some examples. So credit card points that are generated through electronic means, and they are also having some value which can be stored or exchanged, or so once it is and also they are generated through electronic means, though not cryptographic means. So definition says anything generated through cryptographic means or otherwise. So it is included in or otherwise phrase, and also it is storing some value in the form of we can consider in the form of rupees. Also it can be exchanged. So in case of credit card points, those are being covered under virtual digital asset as per the definition. Though it is not the intention of the legislature, it is getting covered. So that is the issue with this definition. Okay, Sahil. So we can move on with other amendments of the sections, other sections. So there is amendment in section 194 IA, that is TDS on purchase of immovable property. So we know that before amendment of this section, TDS is required to be deducted at the rate of 1% when the sales consideration of purchase of immovable property exceeds rupees 50 lakh. So whenever the sales consideration exceeds rupees 50 lakhs, it is coming under the ambit of 194 IA, but it is never saying about the stamp duty value. It is not saying anything about those things. So under section 43CA and 50CA, which are the charging sections of the income tax, there is already amendment in Finance Bill 2017, I think, that tax is required to be paid on the higher of actual sales consideration or stamp duty value. So whichever is higher, that amount is getting covered as a income chargeable to tax. But the same effect is not given in section 194 IA. It only says about the sales consideration. So to get this section of TDS in par with the charging sections, now they have to remove the inconsistency. This section has been amended to provide that in case of transfer of an immovable property other than agricultural land, TDS is to be deducted at the rate of 1% of such sum paid or credited to the resident or the stamp duty value, whichever is higher. So now, while deducting TDS, a deductor will have to see what is the sales consideration and what is the stamp duty value, and whichever is higher on that amount, they will have to deduct TDS. There is amendment in section 206AB and 206CCA. So these two sections has been introduced by Finance Bill 2021, and this year they have come up with an amendment in this section. That last year, last year, it was saying that when the deductee has not filed return for both of the previous financial year, and the time limit for filing their return under section 139(1) has also expired, then TDS or TCS is required to be deducted at double the rate applicable or 5%, whichever is higher. Also, when the aggregate of TDS or TCS during the financial year is applicable is more than rupees 50,000, then those sections were applicable. As per amendment proposed in this Finance Bill 2022, which is effective from 1st April 2022, the words two financial year has been replaced with one financial year. So even if in previous financial year deductee has not filed his return of income and his time limit has expired under section 139(1), then higher rate of TDS or TCS is applicable under section 206AB or 206CCA. Moreover, there is another amendment that certain sections are removed from the applicability of 206AB, that is a higher rate of deduction of TDS, like 194IA, IB, and 194M. These sections are there when there is no liability to apply for 10 under section 203. So to reduce the release them from the burden of compliance of higher deduction, those sections have been included now in the not applicable sections list. So now 206AB of higher deduction of TDS is not applicable to section 194IA, IB, LBC, M, and N. So those sections, the list has been increased. There is the last this amendment in section 2011A and 206C7. Those sections are for interest on late deposit of TDS or TCS, late collection of TCS. 2011A is a late deposit of TDS, and 206C7 is late collection of TCS. So what is the amendment and why this amendment was necessary? So amendment is proposed on under those sections to provide more clarity and to avoid litigations caused by the misinterpretation of the sections, which provides to abide by the computation of interest for TDS or TCS defaults under respective provisions as made in the order passed by AO by clause 60 and 62 of the Finance Bill 2022. Section 2011A and 206C7 deals with the interest on late payment or late deduction or collection of TDS or TCS. And it is observed that computation of interest under these sections is subject matter of frequent litigation. In order to make it free from misinterpretation or litigation, this proviso has been added to both the sections 2011A and 206C7, whereas it is proposed that to provide that where any order is made by the assessing officer for the defaults under the said section, the interest shall be paid by the person in accordance with the order made by the assessing officer in this regard. So when there is an order in relation to any of the interest or penalty, then assessee will simply have to follow this order of the AO, and that way he can avoid any misinterpretation or miscalculation or avoid any further litigation in the process. So many times we see that after paying a right amount of interest or penalty, again a person is served with another notice and he'll have to pay balance excess amount of interest or penalty on those things. And to avoid all these proceedings, this section is introduced. Now the AO will pass the order and the person will have to simply pay interest according to the order of the AO, and he will be released from his duty. Again, this amendments as introduced in Finance Bill 2022 will be applicable from 1st April 2022. So that is all about amendments in TDS or TCS during this in this finance budget 2022. So thank you so much. We can take up the questions from the participants now. Someone has said, does VDA transaction in Forex not affect TDS? So Forex transactions are as they are in for the foreign currency is out of ambit of section 194S because it is not covered in virtual digital assets. So those transactions will not get affected under section 194S. So TDS is not applicable on Forex transactions. So any other questions will restrict this session to the TDS and TCS provisions of amendment in this financial budget only. Anything that is to anyone has a question, any query regarding this section?
I would suggest you to, since you have talked about the TDS and TCS, so in a nutshell, what due diligence would you like to, have the members from the fraternity for them as well as how to guide them to their respective clients so that they also grow. Obviously the main intention behind these programs are that our participants, they become familiar, efficient, latest development should go to them, and how they can pass the benefit down by growing their business, which will ultimately happen when they are able to give the right and the proper guidance to the client. So in a nutshell, if we could talk something on that, so we would remember, what happened throughout the session.
As we know that this sections TDS has been introduced, mainly the main purpose behind this thing is that already there are charging sections are there under income tax, like for 194R there is also charging section 28(4), and for 194S there is charging section 115BBA. But what was the purpose of introducing this TDS section? That most of the times this income tax charging sections are not trinkle, or they are not being taken care by the recipient of the income. So firstly, they are not knowing that this is income for them, so they are not showing in their return of income. Again, for income tax department, it is very difficult to trace those kind of transactions. To uh, reduce the burden of income tax officers, like to how to trace those transactions, they have given this responsibility of deducting TDS on the part of deductor or payer of the payer. So firstly, the payer who are making this payment, they must be educated. So assessees or our clients, we must educate them about the legality of this transaction, and to make them aware that these transactions are taxable in and the part of their payers. If they'll not make this deduction right in time, the expenses will be disallowed in their hand. So educating your clients about the taxability of this payments in the hands of the recipient is the first prime thing we as a chartered accountant can do. If they will be more aware, then only the pay will be showing their income in the return of income. And also other for other amendments, we can see those are the interest or penalty sections, or other about SDVs. So for this thing also, they, if they are aware, more aware, they can reduce the burden of penalties in the later part of their proceedings.
Shriman, there are 5 more questions that have popped up, from our participants over here. And if you could attend them, it starts from, is it possible to deduct TDS for crypto, and then followed by other 4 questions. Now there are 5 questions that have come up, ma'am.
Okay. Is it possible to deduct TDS for crypto, or normal individuals possible to deduct? So that is the issue actually. How to actually make the payment of TDS is still in question. So it will only be known when it will be actually practically be applicable from 1st July 2022. So how to deduct TDS when you are not knowing who is the to whom you are making the payment? So generally, as per the definition or as per the raw reading of the section, it seems that the cryptographic exchanges or intermediaries would be more uh, coming under the ambit of this section. Then they would be, the prime responsibility would be there, because they are the ultimate the payment maker, because definition itself says that the payment payer of the consideration is who is charged with this section of deducting TDS. So TDS, as per the definition, would be applicable to this exchanges or intermediaries only. But that may not be the intention of the legislature. Another question is that Bitcoin is also now a foreign currency. So is it excluded? So yes, foreign currency is excluded, and Bitcoin being accepted as a legal tender in some country and in any part of the world, that makes it a foreign currency. And as per the definition, Bitcoin is excluded from the definition of virtual digital asset. And so TDS might not be applicable unless otherwise specified by some other guidelines or some other provisions of this section.
Ma'am, the next, the limit of 50 lakhs of turnover limit is for every year under section 194Q.
Yes. Yes, it is for every previous financial year, the limit is exceeded, then only that section is applicable. How another question is, how can a buyer deduct TDS under section 194S when we are not aware of the identity of buyer, as it's also a exchange kind of structure? So that is what is I have also covered in the issues in section 194S, that many of the times the identity of the buyer is not known by the seller, but the ultimate, as we have seen, that the ultimate burden of compliance of this tax is TDS is on the payer of the the payer of the sales consideration, that is exchanges or intermediaries. So it is their question how to identify a buyer or a seller. Another question is how to calculate acquisition cost of multiple transactions for digital asset. Is it a FIFO or average basis? So valuation guidelines are not being specified anywhere in this section. So how to take the sales consideration is a issue under this section. We have already covered that thing, that sales consideration valuation guidelines are not defined anywhere. So on a we can say that we can take whatever is considered rightful for us, we can take up this practice. Please indicate heads of income in what cases. What is the question is not clear. Someone has mentioned that please indicate the heads of income. So in case of this sales of virtual digital asset, they are as covered under section 115B. I think they are covered under section income from other sources. I think that is what the question is about.
So, ma'am, I don't think any more questions up, and this was a lovely presentation. Thank you so much. You have really maintained the flow of the entire discussion. Your presentation from your end was very nicely done.
Thank
And
you.
on behalf of the entire CPC, as well as our chairman, sir, Shri CA Dr. Rajkumar Dhukia Sahab, and our vice chairman, CA Gyanchand Mishra ji, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for
Thank you so
enlightening
much.
me over here. And, you know, you took out time to talk to us on a weekend. And that's really great, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting and taking up this kind of event. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have the next speaker over here, Shri Nanda Dulal Kundu. Nanda sir, am I audible to you? Nanda sir, your screen is visible. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, very much. Yes, I am there.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Yeah, please, please go ahead.
Sir, I welcome you on behalf of the entire CPC, as well as our chairman, Shri C. Dr. Rajkumar Adukia Sahab, as well as vice chairman Sahab, Shri Gyanchandra Mishra, who is also a chartered accountant. I'll just, give a short profile about yourself, and then, you can take it ahead. We usually keep last 15 minutes reserved for the question and answers. But in case if you see the questions in the chat box, and if you are available to go with the flow, then obviously you can attempt and answer those questions immediately, so that the flow is also maintained. And obviously the last 15 minutes there would be more questions coming from ahead. So here we have got Shri Nanda Dulal Kundu. He is a CISA, CAIIB, PGDCM, and LA. So what is this LA 27001?
This is called lead auditor. Those who have completed that ISO 27001,
Right.
those auditors also called a lead auditor.
Fantastic. So if you could also throw some light on that, so that people could be
On ISO, I will say that fantastic as
towards the end.
Dr. Salim Khan, you are talking about the ISO and LA to 27001. That is what you want me to say?
Exactly.
Okay.
Sir.
And I would say this is really very much necessary for all the auditor, all the CF friends. For them, in addition to the normal qualification after a post-qualification course, please go for that course. It is a 5 days course taken from any good institute. Around 25 to 30,000 will be expenses. 4 days that training, 5th day there is an exam, and after that you will be a lead auditor or lead implementer depending on your choices, and that is applicable for all type of industry, and it is mostly for the risk management and risk assessment. So I will compulsorily suggest for all the CAs to go for ISO 27001 course. Not necessarily it is too technical. Obviously it is technical, not too technical. Yeah, I think this is okay, and you search it for the ISO 27001, you will find so many organizations who is providing this training. Very, very fantastic and very, very good, and it is required for all type of audits.
Very nice, sir. So, our renowned speaker has superannuated from Bank of Baroda as an AGM. He worked mainly in IT department in charge of IT security implementation in the bank and retired in charge of IS audit cell of the bank. His major achievement was ISO 27001, implementation, development of FCNR fixed deposit system, cybersecurity implementation, including data loss prevention, multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, security operations center, etc. He has major contribution in creating IT security awareness in the bank. He's having more than 2,000 hours of experience in providing faculty support in various in-house programs. That's fantastic, sir. That's really fantastic. And in external organizations like NIBM, BTC, ICAI, IDRBT, IFBF, etc., etc. He is a recipient of CH Baba Research Scholarship from IBA. He has the experience of 40 years in bank, including 4 years in overseas. During his tenure at IS Audit Shell for 10 years in 3 occasions, he has conducted more than 450 IS audits of various applications, including Finacle IT infrastructure, branches, admin office, migration audit, and IS audit of specialized branches and units. He was instrumental, I correct myself, in implementing audit automation and risk-based supervision and compliance function in the bank. He's attached with ICA for 25 years. That's great. Initially as an evaluator in IT-related subjects, and finally as a faculty in various subjects, including DISA, AITT, etc. He has also provided faculty support on banking-related subjects in various seminars organized by ICA. He's one of the founder member of ICACA Mumbai chapter and serves the chapter as a managing committee member. All to you, sir. Please take it ahead from here, sir.
Oh, thank you very much for nice introduction. So thank you again and welcome all the members here, my dear friends here. Though for 1 hour is really very less time for discussing so vast subjects. So I only touch some of the points, and if the question comes, then I will try to answer some of them. Quickly, I think these days everybody, and there is no single person that doesn't know what is called a cryptocurrency or what is not. So I need not talk about these things too much. Just a minute, I think screen has gone. Wait. Just a minute. Is my screen visible now? I think it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Fine. Okay, fine. So these days, blockchains and cryptocurrency, these two terminology are so similar. People are mostly aware of that. And to talk about that, what is called blockchain, it's just clear data. And that is a block which is in change, and that should be in sequence, in particular order, and obviously some additional security. And truly, the blockchains, the concept is a one-way encryption type of things, one-way state, that is called immutable. You can trace any transaction, so it is there in the blockchain, and it is totally decentralized. That is a very three basic points of the characteristics of the blockchain. And if we just see, and those are the things available in Google's and all other things. So for more details, you can go and check it, that one. And you are talking about the initial generation of the blockchains, that is mostly for the purpose of the storing data. Don't consider and don't mix the issue blockchains with that Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency which is using blockchain. But blockchain is a fantastic concept and which has been utilized all over the world for different purposes, including India. I'm coming to that. And for when you have to just keep your data for a long time with a more secured way, immutable way, use blockchain. Obviously, there are a lot of plus and minus and so on. And then there are obviously whether there is a required rule, not required rule, all other things of the blockchains. If you just go for a bit history, not much of a history, that Satoshi Nakamoto, which could be the pseudonym, who is usually used it or started using it 2008. That time Bitcoin is not there. Bitcoin has started from 2009 onward, and they have started with the Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash. Peer-to-peer means each and everything is connected. And then there is an open source program, and initially he has started with the 50 Bitcoin. So always all coin related things, crypto related things, the basis, the behind the scenario, the database is nothing but a blockchain. So in blockchain, the initial concept of the blockchain, they have started that there will be no middleman. Nobody, the guy need not pay some additional fees or charges to anybody. And I am the direct owner, I or we or some group of a persons or the miner. I'm coming to that, those terminology. And the people who will be controlling that blockchain, they are connected each one separately, one together. You know the 2-3 different type of connections: centralized, decentralized, and peer-to-peer. I'll just show you, and that's why it is called distributed. So when I think Jalak Madam is also talking about that, when there is a concept of controlling by the central agency, it will be very difficult because it's all control is distributed. And obviously some sorts of the cryptography, the PKI that has been utilized, and there is a hash function, the SHA-256 that has been used in case of a blockchain. Let me talk a bit on the SHA-256. SHA-256 is actually the terminology. It is actually called the secured hash algorithm, and 256 is the bit. 256 bit is the size of that algorithm, the output of that algorithm. 256 bit here means actually 64 character. So anybody will be able to see that from any data, any amount of data could be a 10 MB, 5 MB, 1 GB, or maybe it could be only one letter or something. I have to do some encryption, and out of that, or not encryption, I will do some algorithm, and out of that, what are the resultant things will be coming, that will be only with 256 bit, and that is called a hash. Mind it, and it's a one way. So from my data, from my the original clear text, I can generate the hash, but vice versa is not possible. And that is an algorithm, that is a formula, that is a logic behind that one, very, very scientific logic, and reversal is not possible as of now. As of now, from the hash, you cannot generate. From the source, you can generate hash. From the hash, you cannot bring it back the original data. I think this much idea you should have. We'll show you how this hash and all those things are showing for been shown to you. So in a blockchain is actually the verification of the transactions actually been done in the blockchain, and they are all distributed. That is what I said. And there are cryptography. These are three basic things. And so these are the main things we remember: distributed and cryptography. Time to time and again, we are talking the same thing. And always all the data in the blockchain is only can be added. No deletion, no alteration possible. We'll be giving an examples also. And it's totally, fully secure. So when you say, just to give you again some graphical presentation, the chain of block. The block is a small amount of data, maybe a 5 MB data and so on. And they are connected, and each and every block contain the original data as well as contain the hash, and also contain the hash of the previous block. So the first block, which is also called Genesis block, there will be no hash of the previous block, but that being the first block. And what is hash? I've already talked. Hash is a mathematical output generated through an algorithm like SHA-256 and using a formula, and that will be changed if you change the data. If you even change a single character of the data or making capital to the small, hash will be changed. but all hash, there are different type of the hash. The hash we will be using it here, that is a fixed length hash, and that 256 character. This is the hash. You just see these hash, mind it, these A, B, C, D, 5 and all those things, they don't treat it an A, B, C, D, this thing. They are hexadecimal character. Each and every 4 bit contains actually 1 character. So these are 256 bit, but actually 64 character, and that is a fixed length for all type of hash, irrespective of the number and amount of the data. So understand the concept of the hash, and each and every block contain the hash, also the hash of the earlier block. So what is the purpose it serves? Purpose it serves, just to give an example, let's say the first block, if this is a hash, and obviously there is no previous block hash because that is a nil or 0. In second block, there is a hash and there is a previous block hash. Previous block hash, you just see this is same, IWE5. And in third block also there is a new hash and the previous block hash. So what will happen? There are multiple hundreds and thousands of blocks that have been connected or chained. And in such a case, if you want to do change or modify anything in between, so there say 1000 blocks are there. Out of that, let's say 20th number block, I want to change something. Then 1 to 19, you need not do anything, but 20 to 1000, 20 to the end of the block, you have to change each and every hash, and which is almost impossible. And that's why this concept, this technology is called crazy secure. So just to show you that, let's say this hash I wanted to change. That means I have changed the original data. Obviously the hash has changed, but only changing the hash, I kept a new hash, no problem. But then this is not sufficient because this hash again has to be coming here, because this block has, the previous block has to be contained there. So unless you're able to go on changing the all other blocks subsequent, it is not possible to make any interaction, any change, any modifications of the hash in between. Okay, so always that relationship has to be maintained always. The last block, the previous block hash will be contained here. Previous block has been contained here, and that's why to maintain this data, to add this data, to do some addition and do some changes in this thing, it takes a lot of time, lot of computing power, and so on. I'll be talking on that. So, and there is something called, because it's distributed, so there are, let's say 100 people are controlling that one. Out of 100, I have taken 90 people. If they agree on doing something, then all be added. So that is called consensus. And different type of the application measurement, whether it's a Bitcoin or anything, they are having different consensus mechanism, which has been agreed thoroughly beforehand. And when that consensus reached, only then a new block has been added. Let's say for each and every node, there are three blocks added. And with the consensus, we have consensus been applied, and that has been agreed, and one more block has to be added. Then only the fourth block will be added for each and every node. Mind it, anything has been added to each and every node. So if every changes has to be happen, it has to be happen for each and every node separately, and that's the minor job. So understand the concept part. Here we are only talking about the concept and technology. Just to give an example, let's say one of the blockchain data contains the details of the house. That means the house was sold on certain date. It has been, construction has been made, sold to some owner, then it's been hypothecated to bank, then it again sold to another owner, and so on. Now let us say, and these are the all land record type of things, and land record are mostly digitized. And in such a case, these days, in the present days form of the digitization, it is possible I can change some of the things, authorizedly, unauthorizedly, whatever that way. Now, let us say if I change that hypothecation in the fourth stage, and if I tamper it and make something, then actually you just say the assignment and the rights of the assets and owner is everything got changed. Bank might have been refinance and all other things could be happen. But if you make it using that blockchain, if your data is in blockchain, this type of changing from hypothecation to the approval is not possible, almost impossible. And that's why it is called immutable, because they are all chained together. One change the hash, and you have to change the all corresponding hashes from all subsequent blocks. And that's why I say it's called crazy secure. I've used this word again and again. So if you think from the advantages point of view, truly speaking, the concept of this is a really fantastic concept, and using this concept, lot of new development is coming in the finance and all other industry. I'll be giving some examples. And there are as such no human intervention. Okay, so human involvement, that improving accuracy, that obviously cost will be reduced to some extent. Decentralization, controlled by so many people, group of people, transactions are secured, and it is transparent. That means after putting into the blockchain, anybody and everybody will be able to see what is the data, where is the data. May not be able to see who has done that, who has owned that, but what is the data, that will be able to, obviously, if you have the authority, then you can do that one, and nobody will be able to change it. So if this is the technology, obviously, when you talk about the technology, that is some advantages and disadvantages as well. So there are cost, very high cost. Mostly so far, blockchain has been used for the all wrong type of activities. Mostly the hackers and all those people, they are using it. And because it requires a high computing power, so number of transactions per second is very less. Don't just compare using a Coindex or WazirX or any type of exchanges. You can do the transaction in a fraction of seconds. That doesn't relate always with the all blockchain type of things. Let's even in Bitcoin also, you can only take almost 10 minutes or so to add a particular block for a Bitcoin. So this type of low transactions rate is there, and that's why it requires a very high computing power, and there is always a chance of being hacked. Though I am not fully agreed with this particular wording, susceptibility. Mostly what are the hackings happen in terms of the cryptocurrency. I say always these two terminology have been related, and that's why while giving the example, we have to give it like that, that it's happened that your private key, there is a private key concept and there is a public key concept. Your private key was compromised, and that's why what are the frauds been reported in relation to the cryptocurrency is related to the compromise of your private key only. So these are the very transparent, that is very important, and the computation logic. And whatever you have done, you cannot change it back. Just to give an idea, because I have to talk about the technology part, that this is a centralized connection where there is a control, and RBI or any regulator wants and prefer this. Just like for your central bank digital currency, it will be like that only, the centralized control. That's decentralized control, where it's not only a single center, there will be multiple centralized. And when it's a distributed, anybody and everybody having the control. Okay, so that is a basic idea of centralized, decentralized, and distributed. And so when you talk about the different type of the blockchain, there are two basic types, private and public. The different blockchains which you know, the like Ethereum, Litecoin, or Bitcoin, they are all public blockchain. Hyperledger, multi-chain, they are the private blockchain. And maybe in future, some sorts of the crypto will be coming to India, India's own one. It could be a private blockchain, could be a. It all depends, because everything is not clear. It's a totally gray area. So as of now, if you talk about the utilizations of the blockchain in banking, that is in currency use case. That means see the validity and legality of the currency, whether it's a dollar or rupee or anything. Rupee, we cannot spend this much on that one, but still so many other things like the Ripple, that is also a type of the cryptocurrency. They are using it more secure, hard to hack. Even the fintech, there are a lot of users there. Those who are aware of the details of the banking community, all the banks, they are already doing some research. Already they have come with the different types of product using the blockchains, maybe keeping their ledgers where the data should not been allowed to change at all. But that type of thing there, you are trying to use the blockchain. Already there is an use in the blockchain. Not the cryptocurrency. I'm talking about the use of blockchain is already there in the banking sector. In case of e-government, there are for sovereign identity. You can utilize blockchain like your Aadhaar card and all other things. All the digital assets you can maintain using the blockchains. It is secure. All public registers, land record, birth record, marriage certificate, and so on. So that transparency will be maintained. Participation, even the voting part, there also blockchain can be utilized, and some indirect way of utilization is already there. notaries, online notaries, mostly in terms of the non-fungible tokens, people have started using it, work of arts, luxury good documents, so that your ownership, and you can take a part of the ownership, not necessarily the whole lot of data. Okay, even the mobile charging, the electric vehicle charging, smart grid, they are already in use. The P2P energy trading, a lot of energy trading area, the blockchain is already been used. Decentralized way means IoT, that is called Internet of Things, when all instrument or devices having some sorts of the processor and as an identity, when they're connected, and with this connectivity they have to do a complex work on like your smart cities and so on. That type of activity, the blockchain can be utilized and already been used. Most in the smart contract is a fintech product, or even the RBI also says the smart contract you can use the blockchain. So blockchain is a concept where you can utilize for many different purposes, even for your accounting. Yes. Don't think that when the blockchains will be coming too much acceptability in the market, that the requirements of the CS will not be there. Yeah, on the contrary, it will be increased. Because ultimately the basic logics and all other things will be given by the human only. So auditing, compliance on the fly, maybe the more for the cooking of the books, where you'll be having the less human error, faster taxation cycles, all those things. You need not delay for long. Everything can be settled. Obviously, for that, your legal support will be a constant. Even Madam was talking, you say not of legal support is required for this type of things implementation. Supply chain is really a fantastic area, and where it has been utilized for long, because there is no middleman, it is transparent, and I will be able to submit any record. So you can say the asset tracking. So key areas for contribution for the blockchain is the asset lifecycle maintenance. That has been for the all movable assets. It can be utilized for autonomous machine renting and self-employment. Is already been used. What are the examples you are giving? May not be everything is in India. I am talking about all world basis. This is already been used. In the real estate and diamond merchant basis, it has been obviously defining the assets, identifying the stages, mechanism of the transfer deed, validation mechanism, and dispute management. Everywhere this blockchain can be and already been used. In aircraft industry, yes, for the similar purpose, even the key event managements or validations of the mechanism, dispute management, these are already been used. In terms of the smart contract, I've already said, utilization of the assets, maintenance of the record for maintaining the security part, and the automatic maintenance and scheduling. That is also in terms of the IoT, in terms of the all other process also, even the payment also, this blockchain is being utilized. Blockchain covered transactions within that. Let me try. Blockchain covered transactions within the boundaries, or it have no boundaries to record transactions. That all depends on the consensus mechanism. Okay, so if it is a private blockchain, they say we will be covering only this type of transactions. But if it is a public blockchain, then obviously there is no boundary. Obviously, all because these are so far it has been controlled by a group. Whether you call it Bitcoin, Litecoin, or whatever the type of things, they have been controlled by a group of people, and what they want, that only can be added, that only can be appended. So it's all depends. So how are we preparing? In India, what is been coming into the existence, they are obviously it is for a specific purpose, and all the data related to that purpose only have to be added. Blockchain transactions have to follow accounting standard. Right now, no. But maybe in the futures, to some extent, it will be coming. Even today also, we have seen there is an international organization of the Securities Commission. They have says for the all cryptos, we need to have a crypto regulatory committee, because no single country will be able to control the crypto. Not possible. Because from the concept it has been established, you will not be able to control it. So for that, so many countries, maybe initially 5, 10, 20, 50 countries will be coming together. Even our Prime Minister also, I think few days back, he has also said the same things. So many countries can come together, make a regulation. Otherwise, it will be very difficult, or it will be impossible to control, or not say control, regulate any type of the crypto. or crypto regulation, it should be coming on international basis. When today newspaper also this type of news is already there, and you know what is the market going on, how it has been tumbled from the $69,000 to even less than $30,000, and that is for Bitcoin. For all others also almost in the similar run happening. Anyhow, so automatic maintenance and scheduling of the government-based health and machines, the blockchain can be utilized and already been in use in some cases. Smart contract have already talked. Micro lending based on the installation and the radiology machines through the IoT, it can be utilized and already been used. Mostly IoT sensors in the same name, or people or machines manufacturing company, they are utilizing it. My procure to pay, that is a process, and through an application, there are a lot of challenges to utilizing the blockchain, but still it has been already been used. There are already different systems in use, and there are frauds also available. So even minimize the fraud or even reduce the fraud to the maximum extent, this type of for the delivery of the goods, movements of the goods, for all those purposes it can be used. And there is a big process. Maybe the real-time review possible, transparent factoring possible, disintermediation, and so on. So what are the basic characteristics of the implementing the blockchain? Everything you can utilize for this procure to pay or this asset tracking process. So that's all. Initially, I talked about the blockchain. I thought that giving some idea, because that is the base, and then we'll be going for the crypto. Just to give an overall summarized position, when you have to make a transactions using a blockchain, you have to make a request transaction. These transactions will be broadcast. Broadcast means it will be told or maybe spread to all other people, broadcasted through a peer-to-peer network consisting of so many nodes. And then the consensus people, they will be validate the transactions. There is a big process of validations. And after validations, the verified transactions will be, that can be included. The verified transactions can be included records. That is after verification, after the consensus has been achieved. And then only it will be added as a block. So before adding as a block, there is a lot of activity. And then this newly added block will be joined the existing blockchain, and then the transaction complete. And here there are a lot of things involved. There is a broadcasting, there is a consensus, there is an addition, and a whole process is also called a mining. Coming to that. And then, so if you understand this concept part, then it will be very easy to talk something on that one. Already I have talked about the use cases. Barclays Bank is already been used it from this blockchain technology in the transaction process, and there are something called Ambrosas, that is a chain management, supply chain management company. They are already using it. Even the DHL, the global logistic company, with the Accenture, a global management and professional service company, they are integrating the blockchain in the pharmaceutical industry and so on. This is the maybe the Indian context. You can see that one. But when you use the blockchains, in addition to all those benefits, there are some risks and challenges. Not many vendors are there as of now, but there are vendors. So you have to vendor assessment, vendor management will be a very great risks. Then what are the credentials you're using that secured, maintain those credentials, very important. Governance and compliance, we don't have almost nil. So that has to be coming. There are some standard, I'll be referring something. Data security and confidentiality, that is the essence of this blockchain. That could be an risk. Scalability. When you use something, adding too many things is not like exactly in the cloud. So scalability will be an issue. If you are going for a particular blockchain, changing that to another blockchain, suppose blockchain as a service also will be coming in future. So that will be a question. I will not say technically impossible. So interoperability will be a questions. And then processing power or time, it requires very, very high amount of energy, and storage will be also be a hurdle. So these are the different risks and challenges. Technology is improving. They are coming with a very, very high computing power, and obviously things will go on changing. So governance and control, as I told you, there is not much of role as of now, regulatory or the even the BCP part, how you maintain the BCP or DRP is really a question. The key distribution, the secure way, because on the key there are so many things happen. And so far the frauds which has been happened related to the blockchains are only compromise of the key. So that is also important. And related application, that interface application programming interfaces and that integrations, that also need to be seen more details, and it will be coming in future. So as a CA, you should obviously knowing something more, studying this, going through the Google and lot of reading. You can even be involved in some of the activities like your assist in evaluating the functional design part. Obviously, I'm acquiring some more knowledge. In the POC part also, you can add your these things. You can add as an auditor also, smart contract, which will be also already in force, and for auditing that part also, you can be involved. And there are a lot of other avenues also will be coming in future. So with this, let me come to the end of this blockchain, the concept part. I think we're done within less than 30 minutes. And so another half an hour, let's talk something on the product part, that is on the cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is a digital currency based on blockchain, that is a database like John blockchain. So it's a digital currency. Mind it, all cryptocurrency obviously should be a digital currency, not necessarily the vice versa. Okay. So in India, so far what we are talking, our finance minister talked about that. She has not talked about the cryptocurrency so far too much. He has talked about the central bank digital currency. So there is a difference. The underlying principles into the blockchain, but the things are totally different. Just to try to understand, it's a digital form of currency, and which is already there in the RBI side. So I will not go too much deep. They are using cryptography, and there are so many digital currency in the world, more than 1,800 and so. But digital currency, whether they can replace real currency, very, very questionable. And so many name it has been coming. So if you understand this concept, so digital currency is a digital sense of your real currency in that way. Okay. So, and there are three basic principles. Basic principle, one is the trust. How trust will be coming if this is a decentralized, very, very big question. Binding liability and privacy. One of the cryptocurrency is from 69,000, now it's coming to the less than 30,000. So who will be controlling? And so many millions and billions of dollars has been go away. Who will be the responsible for that one? Big question. Now somebody may have counter question. Even in share also, it has been coming from the so many lakhs and crores of rupees to the something called nearer to the zero. Who will be responsible? So all are questions, but obviously there is a difference between the share and your script and your crypto. We'll be talking something on that. So trust is a very important issue, supporting international financial ecosystem. I've already talked about the international organizations of the Securities and Securities Commission. Binding liability, so that investment supporting a financial ecosystem do not have negative legal ramification. Whether India can do that. Privacy. So the individuals as a consumer with the supporting financial infrastructure can ensure that the information remains private. Okay, these are the three basic characteristics of the digital currency, and on that basis, using the blockchain, mind it, whether it's a private blockchain or public blockchain, I'm not commenting. Most probably it will be the private blockchain, and the central bank digital currency will be coming for India. Very, very difficult for coming, but still maybe. Digital form of currency, and that will be a legal transfer. Instead of your physical cash, the logical cash will be with the central bank control. That is the way it will be coming. Obviously, a lot of rules and regulations yet to be framed. They said within this year it will be coming. Very, very difficult. Okay, and whether it will be preferred, not preferred, very, very questionable. We'll see that one. You can use even mobile banking platform also, and it should be acceptable for a lot of others, all those things. And in this process, your money laundering, that is AML, CFT, all those things will be controlled. Maybe financial inclusions will be increased. So there are a lot of purpose of that one. I will not talk much of that one, that is CBDC, because on the basis of CBDC, I'm coming to the crypto. So, and everything, who has done what, this money has gone from which person to which person, all those record, that history part will be there. You can even stop at certain point of time, blacklist also, whitelist also. These are the control you can do when you have a central bank digital currency. Okay, again, and monetary authority has the final say, and is a digital form of the fiat money. No, mind it, even it is within the control of the central bank, and it is not with you still, but you will not be paid any interest. So please keep in your mind, even if it's CBDC also, no interest will be payable. Okay. And then just say that's where it is in China. For the long time, they're trying to implement that CBDC, the digital one, not yet been implemented. They are very soon will be implemented, as they says, and digital rupee will be obviously based on blockchain. That's why concept of the blockchain has been discussed. And US not having any CBDC, that's central bank digital currency. So many other countries like Bahamas, Marshall Islands, Sweden, European Union, they are having to some extent, but in most of the cases, 86% of the central bank, they're still researching, not yet been developed. Some has been coming with that one. And whether the digital rupee will be fungible or not, hopefully yes. And e-wallet is a success, but Nigeria's e-Naira, that is, they have started with this digital currency and they have stopped. That was a totally flop. So these are the international position of the central bank digital currency. So on that basis, if you have to come with the cryptocurrency, it is a decentralized systems, as I've already talked, and the consensus mechanism has to be used. And it is not a centrally controlled. If I want central bank or government someday decided that I will be stopping that one, not possible. It cannot be frozen. And then anonymous, borderless. So these are the basic characteristics of the cryptocurrency. Just to show you, this is a Genesis block. I have already talked, 3 cryptocurrencies can be converted into Indian currency EPS. What will be the exchange rate? Okay, fine. Right now, this is all a gray area, but UPI, you know, some of the cryptocurrencies already have an, maybe without taking the full permissions with the, that is, our payment interface, the uniform payment interface, they have tried to link with that UPI and try to do that on. Now it has been stopped because NPCI says we have not given the exclusive permission, but maybe in the futures it will be coming when it will be allowed to do so. So when you have to trade it with any cryptocurrency, you can even make the rupee payment. Right now, it is not been fully allowed. I will not say it is also disallowed. Okay, because there is a Supreme Court ruling. So this is the first block of the Genesis block. That is what I'm talking about. There are different type of the cryptocurrency. Let us talk about the types. So these informations are all available in the Google. Those who wanted to make the Google, just for your information, I have combined those things and just presenting it here. So just say transaction mechanism, that there are different type of the classes of cryptocurrency. Initially, it has been started with that. The Litecoin has been started with the transaction mechanism, distributed computation token like Ethereum and so on, utility token like SIA and Filecoin. There are security token, there are fungible token, there are non-fungible token, stable coin, which is almost value is almost nearer to the $1. But nowadays, even for the today's news is that one of the stable coins, they have been gone almost without existence. That Luna, that has been delisted from the exchanges. Even those who are aware of that one, that Terra USD, that is also unstable. So there are, even the Facebook is coming with a cryptocurrency called Libra. All details still be yet to be coming in more details. Let us talk about some basic points. The crypto, the 4 types of the crypto, apart from the earlier classes, that is a decentralized finance, which is called DeFi. That is called non-fungible token, that is a utility token, and store of value token. The Bitcoin, Litecoin, we know that is called a store of value token. But the other things like non-fungible token, mostly used for the, let's say, for using for purchasing a art form and so on. So decentralized finance is mostly emerging financial technology based on the distributed ledgers, like all stable coins are the decentralized finance. Okay, their goal is to reduce the transactions time, and they don't want to pay not much of fees. And middleman will be removed, and the trust will be and there is an applications for that one. Each and every coin, they have been routed through the different type of application. The NFT part, this can be sold or traded also, some small portions also, some fraction of entity, and you will be holding the ownership of that one. Okay, and it will be based on the blockchain, obviously. And then there is a certificate, there is an you do not restrict the copying and sharing, but original ownership will remain with you, and that will be remain forever as long as you are being paying for that. But NFT being an asset, NFT, that is a transaction, is already happening in India also, but then that has been treated as a speculative assets. And government, obviously, as Madam is already talked on that one, they are charging for all those type of transactions. They are charging the tax part. Even for I'll say the money, it is not a legal money also, but a tax is being charged. So everything will be coming more clear after the bill has been approved by the our parliament and so. So frequent use in the art scam, Ponzi scam, the NFT is already been continuously used, that one. Just a bit go back, as I told you, that Bitcoin from $69,000 now coming to the $30,000, started with the $1 or even less. There are each and every cryptocurrency, they have been treated with a token also, just like Bitcoin blockchain has a token called Bitcoin, mostly the same name. Ethereum has a Ether, Solana has a Sol, and so on. But so many countries, they are already heavily used, and there are a lot of transaction is happening. Even in India also, there are transactions happening, and so many people are involved with the cryptocurrency, but the amount of the transactions per person is less in India. It could be around 1,500 rupees or so, and majority people are with the 10,000 rupees, but okay. But there are a lot of people who have invested a lot. Some people are even facing so many difficulties, and don't ask me that which crypto I should invest and which not, which is profitable, which is not. That depends on your study. We have to talk here only about the basic concept part. There are market capitalization for Bitcoin has the maximum market capitalization. Everybody know. There are different exchanges available, whether the CoinDX, TCS, WazirX, or even the worldwide, the Binance. Binance even India is also, you can do that one. I have done something on with that. A number of cryptos users in India is more than 10 million. This number is gone increasing day by day. Now, there is a concept of mining. To make you understand the mining, I'll be using another few slides also. So mining, I have used that word mining. That is a process where I'll be securing. If something has to be added to all the nodes and added with that encryption, the high encryption with the using hash and that encryption. So it is I have to use the special hardware, very highly costly, and I say different type of the resource uses hardware. And Bitcoin, suppose Bitcoin is a considerations awarded, and after doing the successful mining, we'll be awarding some part of that cryptocurrency. Just to how to get a new Bitcoin. Not only Bitcoin, it can be true for other cryptocurrency also. When you talk about the Bitcoin, it represented the cryptocurrency. So first you can do using the mining also. You can even purchase also, or you can receive again some sale of goods and all those things, which has been allowed in some countries, may not be in India as of now directly. But right now, the concept of the Bitcoin, they make it scarce. So the total number of that particular cryptocurrency has been limited, like gold and that type of metals, and that's why the demand for that one is go on increasing, and the price will be go on increasing. Obviously, all are speculative part, and everywhere we'll be using that hash. The concept of the using hash is the SHA-256. You've already talked secured hash algorithm having 256 character in that way. It's instead of character, it's a bit. Character is 64 character. Okay. So just try to understand this. I have taken this particular slides from one of our fellow CAs. He's Mr. Ankur. So, and he explained it nicely. Just talk about all the blocks. All the blocks have been connected with the chain, so that is secured. And there are a lot of members. Out of that, some could be the miners, the same people or the other people. They will be, when some new ledger has to be, a new block has to be added, that has to be broadcasted, going to the miner, and each and every miner using their resources, they will be able to add it with that consensus, and then only that block will be accepted as a data into that change. So these are the so many things has been attached during this process. Just to show you that each and every miner, how much details, how much high and heavy, powerful computer required to even mine it. Don't think that anybody and everybody which is a normal PCs and all those things will be able to mine it. Not possible, almost impossible. So you have to invest a lot to even mine it. So legal history, I think RBI, what this says, Madam has already talked. for the sake of time, I can just skip that part. I need not talk on the legal history part. There are different Supreme Court order, and then that has been reversed, that you know. Mind it, the cryptocurrency word has been not defined in any other legal way, except for the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. They have defined this. It is a math-based, decentralized, convertible virtual currency protected by cryptography by relying on public and private key to transfer a value from one person to another and sign cryptographically each time it is transferred. So this is a cryptography attached to it for each time of transfer. That is an FATF definition. And just to give you some idea, before I take more questions on that, let me give you some idea. Just see, this price is obviously on a particular time. I'm talking about the market cap, and there are different type of. It's not that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency. Go on searching Google, you find hundreds of them, and so many of them. Some of the important top 10 things I have just added here, and having their the market cap also. We are just talking of the UPI, which has been recently been stopped by the NPCI, but the concept of the attachment of the sale and purchase of these understood. What you said, Mr. Vijay, what you said, I could not get. Have you not understood anything, or okay, fine. So this UPI part, I think this has been understood, so I can skip that part. Fine. So how this UPI and this cryptocurrency get related? That's good. Understand. And then how these the exchanges, what is the purpose of the exchanges? They are the third party, and through using them, I have to go and sell and purchase of that cryptocurrency. So exchanges are the, now there's a mediator is not required. So this exchange is actually facilitating that one, but everything will be under your control. You, anybody and everybody, but going for some sort of the KYC, EQIC, you can even open account and you can deal with the cryptocurrencies also. Within your means, you can go for that one. Now, the regulators, let us talk more about our regulator, that they say decentralized finance using the distributed ledger technology, they may make bank redundant, and cryptos, ultimately cryptos may go for the anarchism, and then they can go for the established financial systems will be almost like destroyed, that is the say. And because that is not a currency, though in some country like El Salvador and all those things, they have been treated as a currency, but right now for India, obviously that is not been treated as a currency or even assets and as a commodity. And you know, RBI Deputy Governor, he has already given the logic for each and every point. I'm not going to repeat all those points. They say it's because each and every currency, they need an issuer, there is and anybody just search in the rbi.org.in, you will get more details, and hopefully the people who are interested in this cryptocurrency, they have already gone through that one. They have given the different logic behind that particular, that why cryptocurrency cannot be treated by the RBI as a currency. And that's why, though government's view is something different, the RBI's view is something different, and what will be coming in the parliament, that is also could be something different. We could not know, and that's why Supreme Court is also coming into the picture, and they have given their judgment on that. So they say it cannot be an financial asset because there's no underlying cash flows. That is their logic. It cannot be a commodity because that cannot be tangible values, and that cannot be a utility. And though it is a limited supply, but that is whole good, just like when you compare with the gold, it is just, and they say the Bitcoin, you can say it is a 21 million is the maximum, but how will make it a maximum? It is there in the code. Can you not change the code? Right now, it is in very, very secure coding, but in future, it's possible. Those people agreed, and you can change the code, and then you can change it from 21 million to something more million or something 121 million or billion or something like that. Then who will have the control? So that concept of the scarce commodity may not hold good in futures if you change the code. So this is a logic will be coming into that one. Even for the logic against the digital assets, that practical use and all other things, because so many things you can have a double spending, control obviously will not be there. These are the things already known things. That's why I'm just skipping. Let's talk about the some one or two criticism also. The store of value. Obviously, so far, those who have been dealing with the Bitcoin since last few months ago also, they have been obviously gained a lot, handsome return. But try to see the bubble, that bubble which has been happened in Holland, the Netherlands, in 1634. There have been tulip, that is a flower. That bubble has been expanded is so much that some single tulip bulb was sold as a 10 times of the annual income. And suddenly that value has been dropped. And that type of, when you talk about the bubbling and burst of the bubbling, they're giving this example of the tulip issues in the Netherlands happened in those 17th century. Okay, gambling and all those things when continuously used, you can say it is a zero rate bond which never pay back the principal. I do not agree with that. Anyhow, that is again the use or the values or the views of the RBI. So even the social and economic role, they say it cannot be an equity because equity has a business capital. It cannot be a bond because it's a borrowing money. Mutual fund, no. Derivatives, no, because it is volatile. People have whether they will be having the same trust or not. Irrespective of all those negative criticism, so many people are continuously using it, whether it's an intrinsic value is there or not. But like NFT, I am having some value in the painting that's been used as an NFT. That is a part of the related to the cryptocurrency. Risks, we'll be talking about the technology, so talk about the risks. So intended to be the private currency. There is a risk related to the KYC, ML, and CFT. CFT, obviously, that's combating financial terrorism. They say role of rupee will be undermined. The control, the result of dollarizations will be there. There could be monetary policy will be redundant and so on. These are all available in the RBI, these things. Macroeconomic instability could be there. And there are a lot of crimes been happening using that cryptocurrency. When you have to give a ransomware, any ransom has to be paid most in the cryptocurrency. I know so many of my CF friends, when they are using their applications in internet, and they have been attacked by ransomware, they have been paid that ransom. I've been paid. I know that friends. So the ransomware people, they ask for the $10,000. He even bargain with that $1,000 that has been paid. So this is also been, though not in Bitcoin, it's been paid in dollar. Okay. So permitted and regulated in India, big questions. The things are going on, and that's why all international based group is being formed, and they are dealing because people want it. People are dealing with that one. It may be permitted with some regulations with that one. Maybe instead of decentralized, some part of the centralization, maybe instead of public blockchain, a part of the private blockchain, maybe with so many other internal communications, whatever, all those maybe. And this is not been truly been put into as a questions. Are there any better alternative to blockchain technology? Oh, why you are talking the better alternative? Anybody, I think Mr. Mehul, blockchain is one of the best technology. Even after internet, the human invention is one of the best technology. And why you are talking about the alternate technology? Is nothing, because blockchain, the technology wise is fantastic. Okay, the SHA-256 is a fantastic hash algorithm. But then why are you thinking of that? Utilizing blockchains for the positive purpose, that will be our aim. Even if utilizing for negative purpose, what are the type of regulations come into force? That are the things we need to see in the futures. Okay, maybe we'll be okay. So in the advanced economies, even there is a fraud happens in US. They are what are the that's it's a 75 Bitcoin has been lost. The fraud that the US regulated authority, they've been able to recover 63 Bitcoin. But whether in India, our regulation is not that much strong. There are a lot of corruption, sorry to say, but will not be, unless you've been making the regulation that much strong, this type of fraud will not be able to control. Advanced economy, something different in India, thinking about the crypto uses will be very, very difficult in that one. And India, most of the people are using it, as I told you, or most of the people who are in this finance, they are using it. Yes, sir. Should I just limit it? I know there are some questions for the.
Sir, carry on, sir. I just switched on my video so that I'm around.
I can take another 5-10 minutes extra also, no problem.
Please, sir. Please go
Okay.
ahead. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
fine. So in India, so many people are already using it, though, but the 4 out of the 5 investors, they are using less than 10,000 rupees as per the investment. That is the, to give you an idea, those who wanted to even invest in the crypto, they may even go for it. Search in the net, go for which is the best one. Now the prices has come down. No, I am not, don't ask me that which is the best and which is the worst and all those things. I'm telling you, this is also a part of the investment. Whether it is legal, illegal, what is the plus and minus point, that the discussions we have made it. But how to audit and other things, that's still not clear to me. So I will not be able to give a full-fledged guidance on that. Okay, whether it should be banned or not, again, the regulator that will be coming into that one, but all the people, their desire also has to be taken into consideration. It cannot be regulated by the one country specific, and that's why so many countries are coming together, and maybe some solutions will be coming into that. I said that we'll be talking something on the standard. There are already security standard, that is a CC, the cryptocurrency security standard, TKSS, CCSS is already there, and there are different level of that one. They started with the key generation, wallet creation, storage, usage, compromise policy. On the basis, what are the different things, that much of details you can go for that one. In addition to that one, all those international standard organizations, they are also been coming out with the different standard. Earlier, it was ISO 4217 is there, where the naming of the different cryptos has been established. Then it has been now changes to the ISO 24165-1, and then ISO 20022. ISO 20022 will be very will be taken as a de facto standard, where even making the standard the Ripple, the first crypto, they have claimed to be complied with that standard, and that will be a de facto. Those who wanted to get it certified on that one, they can go for that one. So there is already standard is coming on that. And so many those who are already standard, some are already member of the standard body, and some say, they say this type of XRP, XLM, XDC, they said we are compliant. Yes or no, these are the things. This is the only the statement which is been given into the market. So many crypto news, these are being available in the Google and all those things. Uber obviously open to crypto adoptions. You know, there are so many, the president of the El Salvador, they are obviously is a crypto evangelist. Already it has been talked. Elon Musk, he said it, now even again going back to his word also. Fine, can BC be used in the banking? BC in blockchain, not only used, it is already been used. But don't think that BC has been used in the core banking solution, not like that. Some of the area of the banking where, let's say, the record has to be maintained and there should not be utilized any change and manipulation, they are already been used. Mostly the private sector bank already been used in the blockchain based technology. Not being why is not being, it is being used, and you have not been able to see too many products in the market, and they say it. But I know HDFC Bank, I know ICICI Bank, and some other bank, they're already having, even the Bank of Baroda also, they're already investing so many amount of money to having the product based on the blockchain. I don't think that core banking solution will be based on the blockchain, may not be immediately. Banks can have one software for all operation instead of patches or many softwares. All those things is a very, very, very big question. In the business of IT will be a question. Okay, so so integration of all banks together, it's a very long cherry stream, very difficult. Okay, your suggestions is good, but it may not be happening immediately. You can have, but so many things, they are already in the offing. I've already said there are so many frauds happen. And again, most of the frauds are related to the, I think, compromise of their private key. Just a $530 million frauds been happen in the coin chain and so on. Okay, fine. And just at the end, I think I am almost at the right time. I will just finish with the showing some of the Excel sheets where what is the positions in the different country. You will be able to see it. Just wait, I think, are you been able to see the Excel sheets? Let me know whether you've been able to see the Excel sheets or not.
No, sir. No, sir. Not yet.
Oh, okay, fine. Let me stop share.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Okay, just a minute. I think you'll be able to see it. Yeah, hopefully it has been seen now.
Yeah, yes.
So this is the comparison of the different country. As some of the countries have seen, there are so many things. what are the positions as of now? USA, the cryptocurrency is not a legal tender, but the exchanges are legal. There is a regulation related to that one. There are the tax related guidelines. In the future, they are felt urgent need of regulations coming and some type of regulation. Even there are so many committees right now. Even yesterday also, we have seen in the news, they are coming with a different type of regulation. But everybody say we are coming. Very difficult. And so almost all the countries say we are coming with a regulation in 2022, but making a full-fledged, a compact regulation is very, very difficult as I feel it. Canada, it is not a legal tender, but exchanges are legal and they are applying in 2013, constantly evolving with the regular digital token. But AML CFT, there is a stronger standard for the Canada. Singapore, that is not a legal tender for exchanges. That is a that monetary authority of Singapore very strong, but they need the regulation. It is being applied. Australia, it is legal. Okay, just say cryptocurrency has been legal, treated as a property, and obviously exchanges obviously legal, and they are new licensing framework also they are coming. For Japan, they say it is illegal, treated as a property. And for the coin check hack that will happen, as I already mentioned it. And most after that, they are very, very strict in that. South Korea, even it's not a legal tender. China, it's not a legal tender. Even China, even the exchanges are also illegal. Okay, blockchain and digital currency, that currency and the China's currency, they will be trying to develop. India, obviously not a legal tender, but regulations being considered. We have already started 30% tax. Madam has already talked on that. UK, even it's not a legal tender, but legal. And Switzerland, it's a legal tender. And there are everything, they have been most of them utilized. Distributed ledger technology in force and aiming for crypto nation. There, Switzerland says we are going for a crypto nation. And that is the situation as far as the all over other countries are concerned. With this, let me stop it here, keeping some few minutes for the questions. I think I have not exceeded too much on that. Thank you very much for the patience hearing. So let me put this forum open. And if I have already answered some questions, but if in the meantime you have wanted to raise any question, please feel free to ask me any question, whether we can answer it. Thank you very, very much.
Akashji, are there any questions?
Yeah.
Akashji, are there any questions?
Okay.
So thank you so much. We'll conclude over here. And we had a very awesome session. Nanda sir, I have a lot of queries in my mind regarding today's topic. And trust me, like after listening to you, I all these queries were sorted out. And I'm also, now, there was some, because you started with agent complete no. And you really took it ahead so nicely. And the very first question that was there in my mind was answered immediately when you started the session. That what are the intermediaries I should look at? So thank you so much on behalf of the entire CPEC committee, Chairman Saab, Shri CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia, Vice Chairman Saab, Gyan Chandra Mishra, and the entire team over here. I thank you, and on behalf of the fraternity, obviously, who have been here to the session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Yeah.